When most people hear the words 5-day fast, their mind jumps straight to danger. Their heart tightens, their chest gets heavy, and an old fear rises from somewhere deep. What if I run out of energy? What if my body shuts down? What if hunger means harm? But what if this fear is not biological at all, only modern? What if the body you carry today is not fragile, not dependent, not on the brink of collapse, but actually built with extraordinary intelligence, an intelligence that knows exactly what to do when food stops arriving? Imagine waking up on day 1 of a 5-day fast. No breakfast routine, no lunch plans, no snacks to break the afternoon slump. It feels strange, almost rebellious. Your stomach sends a few signals, not true hunger, just habit talking. Your mind questions everything. Can I really do this? What happens if I don't eat? Will my energy crash? Will I feel weak? You're not alone. Every human conditioned by our modern world asks the same things. We were taught that skipping meals is harmful, that hunger is an emergency, that our body cannot handle even a single day without calories. But this messaging came from abundance, convenience, industrial food, and constant stimulation, not from biology. Now imagine stepping into day 2. The mind is still negotiating. The body is scanning the environment, not in panic but in assessment. Something ancient starts waking up, mechanisms built for survival, not comfort. And here lies the profound truth. Your body has a plan for this, a deeply rooted, exquisitely coordinated plan. We tend to think of fasting as deprivation, but biologically, fasting is activation. It is the unlocking of systems that remain dormant when food is constantly available. For most of human history, food was uncertain. Scarcity came without warning. And yet humans thrived, adapted, grew stronger, expanded across continents, faced winters, traveled long distances, endured storms, and still survived. Not because they ate constantly, but because they didn't. Now, in our modern lives, where the fridge is full, the pantry is stocked, and food advertisements chase us every hour, the idea of 5 days without eating feels like a crisis. But it only feels that way because we are out of touch with the biology that protected us for tens of thousands of years. Picture day 3. Something shifts. The hunger waves calm. The energy stabilizes. The mind becomes oddly clear. The panic dissolves. Instead of shutting down, your body starts reorganizing itself. It turns inward, scanning for what to burn, what to repair, what to clean. Cells begin recycling their damaged parts. Inflammation starts dropping. Old debris gets cleared. Hormones begin shifting into a state of conservation and precision. What felt like nothing, no food, no fuel, suddenly reveals itself as a biological cleaning crew working full time. Fasting isn't a shutdown. It's a recalibration. Even more powerful is the realization that this recalibration was always meant to happen. Your body is not confused, not frightened, and not malfunctioning. It is following ancient instructions. The same instructions that helped your ancestors survive when there was no breakfast buffet, no 3 meals a day philosophy, no snacks between meals, and no emergency protein bars in every bag. When you reach day 4, something remarkable happens. The fear of hunger disappears completely. You begin to see that hunger was never the enemy. Hunger was the doorway. Hunger was the first step into metabolic resilience. The body you live in becomes sharper, more awake, more efficient, more connected to its own intelligence. You realize that the weakness you feared was not biological, it was psychological. The body itself is steady, steadier than you expected, steadier than you've ever allowed it to be. And by day 5, the narrative flips entirely. What once felt like danger now feels like design. What once felt like loss now feels like liberation. You sense the difference between true energy and the artificial stimulation we depend on throughout the day. You notice that your mind is quieter, your body is lighter, and your system is operating with the precision it was meant to have. You start to understand something profound. Fasting doesn't weaken you, it reveals your strength. We were never meant to fear hunger. Hunger is a signal, not a threat, a message, not a crisis, a transition into a different metabolic state. one our ancestors relied on for survival, healing, and clarity. Modern society made us believe that constant eating is normal, but if you zoom out and look at the timeline of human existence, the idea of eating 3 meals a day with snacks in between is only a few decades old. The human body itself is millions of years old, and in all those years, nothing was more common than periods without food. So when you stop eating for 5 days, you are not doing something extreme. You are doing something human. You are reconnecting with the blueprint built into every cell. You are letting your body show you what it's capable of when it isn't burdened, overloaded, or constantly digesting. You are stepping back into a rhythm your biology recognizes instantly, even if your mind doesn't. This is where the journey begins, not with fear, not with weakness, but with a return to the truth. Your body knows how to survive a fast. Your body was designed for it. And what feels like a crisis at first is actually the start of healing, restoration, and metabolic freedom. This is not starvation, this is strategy, this is intelligence in motion. This is the ancient survival code finally being activated again. The first 24 hours of stopping food feel like stepping into unfamiliar territory, but inside the body, everything is unfolding with calm precision. The moment you stop eating, your system begins scanning for the next best fuel source, not with panic, but with the same logic it has followed for thousands of years. Instead of asking, where is the next meal, the body simply asks, what can I use from within? It knows exactly where to look. As the final glucose from your last meal is absorbed, insulin begins to fall. This drop is one of the earliest signals that the feeding window has closed. Insulin is like a gatekeeper that stores energy, but when it falls, those gates open. Your body gently shifts from storing to releasing. It's the first sign that the internal engine is switching gears. This isn't danger, it's transition. The body is simply updating its energy plan. Glycogen becomes the first line of support. Think of glycogen as your body's ready-to-use savings account, stored in the liver, sitting there for moments exactly like this. In these early hours, the liver begins breaking down glycogen into glucose and releasing it into the bloodstream to keep your brain, red blood cells, and essential organs fueled. The body doesn't scramble, it manages. It takes from what it already saved during times of abundance. At this stage, you might feel a few hunger pangs, but these waves are not physiological emergencies. They are habits rising to the surface. While your mind may whisper, I need to eat, your cells are calmly accessing the reserves they were built to carry. This is when the internal dialogue between hormones begins. Ghrelin, the hunger signal, spikes and falls like a tide. Cortisol rises just slightly, not as a stress response, but as a support system, making sure you stay alert, focused, and able to function without food. This hormonal dance is the body's way of saying, I've got you. Keep going. As the hours pass, energy allocation becomes more strategic. The body starts prioritizing. High-demand organs like the brain receive uninterrupted glucose. Muscles become more flexible in their energy use, shifting between stored glycogen and fatty acids. Instead of wasting energy on digestion, a process that usually consumes a surprising amount of resources, the body reroutes its efforts toward preservation and internal housekeeping. It's like a city shutting down its factories at night and turning on the streetlights instead. Energy is not lost, it's simply redirected. Even the heart adjusts. It begins leaning slightly more on fatty acids, a fuel it burns cleanly and efficiently. The digestive system goes quiet, not in distress but in relief. Immune cells begin shifting into a more balanced state as they are no longer responding to food-related triggers. The body is subtly preparing for deeper metabolic changes that will unfold in the hours ahead. The first 24 hours are not about struggle. They are about recalibration. The body is orienting itself, switching from external dependence to internal wisdom, setting the stage for the profound transformation that begins on the other side of day 1. Between day 2 and day 3 of a fast, the body enters a completely different rhythm. The quick, surface-level adjustments of day 1 are behind you, and now deeper systems that usually stay quiet finally begin to wake up. This is the stage where people often say, I feel different, but in a good way. That difference isn't imagined. It's metabolic, it's hormonal, it's cellular. It's the moment your body fully steps out of the world of food and into the world of internal fuel. By the time you reach day 2, the glycogen tank, your short-term glucose storage, is nearly empty. The body doesn't treat this as a crisis. It treats it as a signal. The message is simple. Switch the fuel source. This is when fat metabolism truly begins. Instead of scanning for glucose, your body starts breaking down stored fat into fatty acids. These fatty acids move into your bloodstream like backup generators, turning on after the main power goes offline. They're reliable, abundant, and incredibly efficient. Your body has been waiting to use them. As fatty acids rise, the liver begins transforming a portion of them into ketones. Ketones are the clean-burning fuel your brain absolutely loves. On the outside, you might notice a subtle shift. Your thoughts feel smoother, distractions fade, and the fog you didn't even know you were carrying begins to lift. The calmness isn't mystical, it's biochemical. Ketones steady the brain the way a quiet room steadies your mind after a noisy day. They burn steadily, they reduce oxidative stress, and they create a sense of mental clarity that surprises people every time. People imagine fasting as a period of depletion, but this stage is one of activation. Hormones reorganize themselves. Insulin drops lower, making fat release easier. Growth hormone rises, protecting muscle and encouraging repair. Adrenaline increases just enough to keep energy stable, not enough to cause stress. It's the body shifting into a mode that says, I can do this for a long time if I need to. Inside your cells, another story is unfolding. This is where autophagy begins to take center stage. Autophagy is often described scientifically, but the reality is much simpler. Tease your body's cleaning crew. Picture tiny workers inside each cell, walking through the halls with bags, picking up the broken pieces of old proteins, damaged mitochondria, and cellular junk that have been piling up while you were eating constantly. When food is always coming in, the body keeps saying, I'll clean later, I'm busy. But fasting removes the workload. Suddenly the system looks around and says, now is the time. Damaged cells get cleared. Old components get recycled into new building blocks. Inflammation drops because the body is no longer juggling incoming nutrients. It's like spring cleaning on a cellular level, quiet, thorough, and long overdue. This process isn't just repair, it's renewal. It's your body taking the chance to restore itself in ways that daily eating never allowed. By day 3, something remarkable becomes evident. The fear of hunger fades. The body feels lighter, not because it's running out of energy, but because it's finally using energy efficiently. There is a calm confidence in your metabolism. Your mind feels more awake, more centered. Your body feels more coordinated. You're no longer fighting the fast, you're flowing with it. What seemed impossible on day 1 becomes natural by day 3. The body is no longer waiting for food. It has switched to the fuel it was always meant to rely on during times of scarcity. It is running on fat. It is repairing itself. It is cleaning out what no longer serves it. It is awakening ancient programs that kept humans alive long before refrigerators, grocery stores, and snack culture ever existed. This is the moment when fasting stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like a design. Between day 3 and day 5, the body enters a state that feels almost effortless compared to the early hours. The metabolic gears have shifted so completely that the absence of food no longer feels like a challenge. It feels like a rhythm. What once required willpower now feels strangely natural because the body has moved fully into fat adaptation. At this point, fat is no longer a backup fuel. It becomes the main power source, flowing steadily, cleanly, and predictably. The constant chasing of glucose, up, down, crash, craving, fades away, replaced by a smooth, even burn that keeps the mind and body stable. As fat becomes the primary fuel, ketone production rises to its most efficient level. These ketones are not just energy molecules, they are metabolic signals that tell the body it's safe, supported, and ready for deeper repair. People often expect to feel weak by day 4, yet what actually emerges is a surprising sharpness. Thoughts become clear, focus becomes anchored, the mind feels like it has more space. This clarity is the brain running on its favorite fuel. Ketones reduce inflammation in neural pathways, protect neurons, and stabilize electrical activity. It's as if someone cleaned the windshield from the inside. Inflammation throughout the body continues to quiet down, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is finally happening in harmony. Without constant digestion or blood sugar spikes, the immune system recalibrates itself. It stops reacting to the endless triggers that come with daily eating and begins shifting into repair mode. Old injuries feel less swollen, chronic aches soften, the immune system becomes smarter, not busier. This is the deep healing that people can feel even without understanding the biology behind it. Mitochondria, the energy factories inside every cell, begin repairing themselves. When food is abundant, mitochondria often run inefficiently, overwhelmed with constant nutrient input. But during fasting, they become more streamlined, more efficient, and more resilient. They produce energy with less waste. They burn cleaner damage. Demitochondria are broken down and replaced with new ones through a process of cellular renewal that rarely gets activated during normal feeding patterns. This is why people often feel a surge of endurance and calm strength around day 4. The body is producing energy with higher quality machinery. Digestion continues to rest. Without food moving through the system, the gut lining gets a chance to repair microscopic damage. The microbiome shifts toward balance, free from the constant disturbances of sugar, processed foods, and chemical additives. Bloating fades. The abdomen feels lighter. The gut, which usually works non-stop, finally gets quiet enough to heal. Cravings at this stage have largely disappeared. The intense desire for certain foods was never about true hunger. It was about dopamine. It was about habit. It was about blood sugar spikes. By day 4, those patterns have dissolved. The body isn't begging for stimulation. It's content. It's steady. It's finally aligned with its biological blueprint instead of the demands of modern food culture. Hormones start finding a new equilibrium. Insulin remains low and stable. Growth hormone rises, supporting tissue repair and protecting muscle. Adrenaline and noradrenaline stabilize to keep energy consistent. The hormonal orchestra plays more smoothly now, each system working with the others instead of competing. On the outside, you might expect yourself to look drained, but the opposite happens. The skin often appears clearer because inflammation has decreased, hydration is better regulated, and cellular waste is being cleared faster. The body is not fighting food all day, it's cleaning, repairing, renewing. By day 5, the body is operating in its survival-optimized mode. Not survival as in desperation, but survival as in precision. This is the biological state that allowed humans to move through winters, migrations, ND long periods without food. The efficiency you feel is not imagined. It is the body remembering what it was designed to do. You become more capable, not less. More alert, not foggy. More balanced, not chaotic. More alive, not deprived. This is deep metabolic healing, activated not by feeding the body constantly, but by giving it the space it has been waiting for. Most people hear 5 days without food and immediately imagine starvation. Their mind paints a picture of weakness, shutdown, or danger. Yet inside the body, something entirely different is happening. The human system is not panicking. It is not shutting down. It is not confused. It is following instructions that were written into your biology long before modern life existed. These instructions are not about suffering. They are about survival, efficiency, and strength. Starvation is when the body has no fuel left and begins breaking itself down to stay alive. A 5-day fast is the opposite. It is when the body still has abundant fuel in the form of stored fat and uses it exactly as it was designed to. The panic people feel comes from habit, not biology. When someone skips a single meal, their mind often reacts as if something terrible is happening. They feel irritable, impatient, or anxious. Not because their body is failing, but because their brain has become used to constant feeding. This feeling is psychological. dependence shaped by decades of eating 3 meals plus snacks every single day. Meanwhile, their physiology remains steady. Blood sugar stabilizes, hormones adjust, and fat begins to release. The contrast is powerful. The mind panics while the body performs with calm precision. A 5-day fast activates the body's survival program. But survival here does not mean desperation. It means optimization. It means shifting from a system that constantly digests and stores to a system that repairs and becomes self-sufficient. Humans did not evolve in a world where food was available every 2 hours. For most of history, long periods without eating were normal. Our ancestors did not have kitchen shelves lined with snacks or meals scheduled by the clock. They had cycles. Feast when food was abundant, fast when it wasn't. The body adapted to this pattern so well that fasting became a built-in advantage rather than a threat. During these natural gaps in food availability, the body strengthened itself. It learned to burn fat efficiently. It learned to stabilize mood without sugar. It learned to stay alert, focused, and mobile without needing food. These abilities are still inside us today. When you fast for 5 days, you activate metabolic flexibility, the skill of switching between fuel sources without crashing. This flexibility is one of the strongest indicators of long-term health. It means your body isn't dependent on constant glucose. It can run on fat, ketones, and internal reserves with ease. Fasting also strengthens emotional resilience. Many people discover that when they push past the initial discomfort, a quiet confidence emerges. The urge to soothe emotions with food fades. The constant thought of what should I eat next disappears. You realize hunger is not a threat, just a passing signal. This discipline isn't forced. It grows naturally as your body and mind adapt to the fasting state. With each hour, your relationship with hunger becomes less reactive and more peaceful. Our modern eating habits are the real anomaly. 3 meals plus snacks is a cultural invention, not a biological one. The human body was never meant to be digesting around the clock. It was meant to cycle. Fed states for building, fasting states for cleaning. The intelligence of this cycle becomes undeniable during a 5-day fast. Energy becomes controlled and steady. The body sheds inflammation. Hormones balance. The mind clears. Instead of weakening, the body becomes sharper, more efficient, and more capable. What people mistake for starvation is actually a restoration of human design. The body is not deprived, it is activated. It is not collapsing, it is recalibrating. It is returning to the rhythm that carried our species through every challenge in history. A 5-day fast does not push the body beyond its limits. It invites the body to show what it has always been capable of. By the time someone completes a 5-day fast, something inside them shifts, not just physically, but deeply, almost instinctively. It feels like reconnecting with an older version of yourself, a version that remembers how the body used to function before constant eating became the norm. Fasting pulls you out of the noise of modern habits and brings you back to a rhythm your biology instantly recognizes. It's a return to human design, not a departure from it. When the body finally gets a break from digesting around the clock, it begins listening again. Hunger signals that used to fire chaotically become calm, clear, and honest. Instead of craving out of boredom or emotion, you feel hunger as it was meant to be felt. A gentle message, not a demand. The fast softens the noise and reveals the truth underneath. By day 5, you realize the body is not fragile. It is adaptable, strategic, and brilliantly self-regulating. You feel this in the clarity of your mind, the steadiness of your energy, the lightness in your gut, and the stillness in your mood. You begin to understand that health isn't built by adding more food, more supplements, more stimulation. Sometimes it's built by removing, by letting the body show you what it can do when given the space to reset. Fasting strips away the excess and allows the body to step forward with its own answers. This process reveals something people often forget. The body wants to heal. Every cell is programmed for survival, repair, and renewal. The 5-day fast simply unlocks these programs. It quiets the hormonal chaos, lowers inflammation, clears waste, and strengthens the metabolic machinery that has been neglected by overeating and constant snacking. You sense this recalibration not as deprivation, but as relief. The body finally gets to breathe. The mental clarity that emerges during this stage is one of the clearest indicators of returning to natural design. Your thoughts feel sharper, emotions feel steadier, and decisions feel less tangled. Without the constant highs and lows of glucose spikes, your brain operates the way it was meant to, focused, steady, and awake. You begin to trust that your mind can function beautifully without relying on constant feeding. That trust becomes confidence, not just in fasting, but in your entire physiology. A 5-day fast also restores a relationship many people lose. The relationship with discipline that feels peaceful, not punishing. You stop being controlled by cravings. You stop negotiating with hunger. You stop fearing the emptiness between meals. Instead, you feel grounded. A quiet strength replaces old patterns. This newfound discipline isn't willpower, it's alignment. It's the body and mind finally speaking the same language. When the fast ends and food returns, you carry this clarity with you. You taste foods differently. You understand fullness differently. You value simplicity. You feel connected to your body in a way that makes overeating lose its appeal. You begin to see fasting not as an extreme tool, but as a natural rhythm that your system has been waiting for. Something ancient, something familiar, something deeply human. The beauty of a 5-day fast is not just what happens during those 5 days, it's what happens after. You walk away with a new respect for your body's wisdom, the kind of respect that makes you want to care for it more intentionally. You realize that health is not something you chase. It's something you uncover when you stop overwhelming your system. Fasting becomes more than a practice. It becomes a reminder that your body is capable, a reminder that healing is built in, a reminder that clarity and vitality are your natural state when you stop interfering. And that is why fasting becomes a lifelong tool. Not a trend, not a challenge, but a way to stay connected to the biology that has sustained humans for generations. It gives you metabolic freedom. It gives you emotional steadiness. It gives you a body and mind that work together instead of competing. You begin trusting yourself in a way you never have before. Fasting reveals that the body is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. All it needs is space. All it asks for is a chance to reset. And when you give it that chance, even for 5 days, it responds with clarity, strength, and a quiet wisdom that reminds you of what you were designed for.